Now from this point, it's through the missions involving the Hydra Chitaura's base where we start to learn more about what's happening in 2099 on Captain America's side of the conflict. You see, as attackers, your objective is basically to target the base and not only destroy the super soldier factory along with the hibernation pods hidden inside, but you're also tasked of stopping a Maveth portal from opening in the base. While, following tradition so far in this series, the defense side tries to keep you from raiding their base and allow the portal to the other dimension to be open. Do the right missions and you can even snag yourself a Hive statue item in your inventory, which has a description about how the time stream entanglement has allowed Chronovium to basically reawaken Hydra's Antarctic fortress, where our matches take place. Now, this is more or less a reenactment of a mission Winter Soldier goes on. However, in the canon of the story, he actually fails his mission and gets captured, where the Hydra mages use a ritual to open that portal and experiment on Bucky as long as they'd like. Something that gets detailed in the Hydra's Hymn Gallery card, where we see how this story continues even further as we get a dialogue between two Hydra members in the Hydra Chitaura's base. Rank and number. Come on, Jim, it's just me, Pete. You know how tight security is here, Pete. Gotta follow protocols. Fine. Hydra Science Agent 418322. Happy? I'd be a hell of a lot happier if we weren't stuck inside of a mountain in the middle of the Antarctic. This cold is killing me. Why couldn't we get stationed on one of Hydra's tropical islands like Bob? Because Chitaura's base houses the most important operations in our entire organization, and they wanted the very best of us manning the fort. The experiments we're doing are gonna change the world, Jim. I think we can handle the winter weather. The winter weather? Sure. The winter soldier, though? Yeah. I heard that jerk tried to infiltrate our base a couple days back. Not gonna lie, I always thought he was just a myth. I mean, he fought against the Red Skull in World War II, right? How the hell could he still be alive and fighting? More importantly, how could he still look younger than me? I've got a feeling we're about to find out. Rumor has it, they moved him down to the Super Soldier lab last night after they finished his reconditioning. Looks like we're gonna get to work our magic. Oh, there's gonna be magic all right, but not from us. Before we could get him into a stasis tube, another division claimed him. Another? Which one? Wait, please don't say Occult Ops. The weirdos in the robes? What on earth do they want with a superpowered assassin? You and I both know what they want usually doesn't involve Earth or any other planet in this solar system. They're trying to open that damn portal in the sublevels again, aren't they? Where do they say it went? Mayfield? No, idiot, Maveth. A dead planet on the side of the universe. They say activating that gateway is a key to unlocking our history and ushering in a new era where Hydra reigns supreme. Don't tell me you bought into their mumbo jumbo. You're supposed to be a man of science, Jim. I am, Pete. But I've heard those Hydra priests chanting. And there's something about their song that makes me wonder if they're not so crazy. If they can use the Winter Soldier as some kind of conduit to access that other world, they can have him. You're just as brainwashed as Bucky is. Well, whatever they're doing down there, I hope it works. Hydra could use a win. Don't worry, we'll get one. And when we do, it's going to be thanks to our work in the science division. Not because Occult Ops sang some ancient hymn to a soldier who should have retired ages ago. Now, things are really grim for Bucky here until we get to the events of Hawkeye's lore entry going south for the winter. All Hawkeye knew when he got on board the Quinjet was that he was heading out on a solo rescue mission and it involved Hydra. That suited him. Extended mission prep wasn't really his style. You only needed a certain amount of information to take a smart approach. Over-preparation could dull your senses, keeping you from being aware and responsive when things changed in the field, as they always did. No plan survived contact with the enemy for long. For the first hour or so, as the craft arrowed south from a helicarrier station just above the big island of Hawaii, Clint kept to himself, watching the water go by. He'd never been a sparkling conversationalist, so silence suited him. "How are you doing back there, stranger?" Agent 13 shouted from her seat at the controls. Clint had nearly forgotten she was there after 2 hours or so staring into the endless blue expanse of the Pacific, so Clint decided that it was time to make some conversation. So, we headed to Antarctica or what? Bingo, Agent 13 said, although it doesn't take a genius to figure out that if you go south from Hawaii, you either hit New Zealand or Antarctica. Never said I was a genius, but I could read a map. Clint got up from his seat and started arranging his gear on a work table. Bow, arrows, swords, body armor, comms equipment, night vision goggles, emergency field rations. Then he broke open the kit bag with his name on it and found cold weather gear. So let me guess, you want me to stop Hydra poaching dinosaurs in the Savage Land? You wouldn't need cold weather gear for that. I would until I got there, unless you're gonna fly me to the border and risk Sauron sending a million pterodactyls after this Quinjet. No Savage Land for you, Hawkeye, Agent 13 said. We're in fact going to Ross Island, which is only technically an island because it's connected to the mainland of Antarctica by a 2-mile sheet thick of ice. Yeah, the Ross Ice Shelf. I've heard of it. The target is a Hydra base on Ross Island. More specifically, the target is Bucky Barnes. Ugh, don't tell me, Clint said as a cold knot formed in the pit of his stomach. Bucky had worked so hard to get free of the brainwashing he'd suffered after World War II. What a terrible thing it would be if he'd been mind-controlled again. Clint thought hard about whether he'd be able to follow through on a mission to eliminate Bucky Barnes. He'd done worse during his Ronin years, but he'd also left Ronin behind. He was Hawkeye again. He was an Avenger. It's not what you think, judging by the expression on your face, Agent 13 said. 3 days ago, Barnes was sent to infiltrate and gather intel about Hydra activity inside a Erebus base. Infiltration was successful, and we got some brief communications from Bucky during the mission's first few hours. But as of 8 hours after infiltration, comms were interrupted, and we presume he's been a Hydra captive since then. Anything could have happened to Bucky in 3 days, Clint thought. But he was tough as anybody, and if there was a chance to get him out alive, that's what Clint would do. Why Erebus base? Well, because it's tunneled into Mount Erebus, whatever, but Hydra probably also likes some mythological associations. You gonna make me ask? Oh, I thought you'd never ask. In Greek mythology, Erebus was the son of Chaos and one of the primordial gods. Also, that's the name the Greeks gave to the gate between the world of the living and the underworld. Yeah, Hydra would definitely go for that. Behind every myth is a bit of truth. Some of Bucky's comms were pretty scrambled, but we have a basic idea that the base is built on a much older set of ruins. It's likely there's an occult angle. An occult angle? Clint repeated. So like, I should expect to run into monsters from the Greek underworld? That's all I can tell you. Also, they're doing some kind of super soldier research. Bucky was loud and clear about that. Clint thought about this while he got just the edge he wanted on his twin swords. He sheathed them and selected his arrowheads, going with a standard assortment of explosive, non-lethal, and ordinary bladed tips. He felt a pre-mission calm descend over him, and that was good. That hadn't happened much while he was Ronin. So, Agent 13 said from the cockpit, "You ready?" "For this mission or to be an Avenger again?" She chucked him on the shoulder. "Once an Avenger, always an Avenger." "I was talking about the mission." Once an Avenger, always an Avenger? Clint wasn't sure about that. Then again, even when he was an Avenger, he hadn't always felt like one. It wasn't easy feeling like you were an equal member of a team when all you could do was shoot a bow and the other team members could call lightning or lift 100 tons. If he was being honest with himself, that was why he left. That was why he became Ronin. The thing was, once you'd been a hero, an Avenger, and once you understood how powerful it could be to change things, to make things better with your own hands, you couldn't just stop caring. Or maybe some people could, but Clint couldn't. So he stopped being Hawkeye and adopted a new moniker, Ronin, a samurai with no master. He kept an eye out for any situation that might need his help, and he trained in some new ways of fighting as he reinvented himself for a couple years, doing things that the Avengers never would have noticed. Street level, local things, more like Spider-Man might do. Then that expanded into bigger scale operations against drug kingpins, human traffickers, the kind of people normal law enforcement couldn't get to and the superheroes didn't notice because they were too busy fighting Thanos or Dormammu or Doctor Doom. Ronin traveled the world, and by and large, he made it a better place. There were a lot of people alive because of Ronin, but there were also a lot of people that never got back up. Bad people? Sure. But one night in a mansion high above the smoggy sprawl of Istanbul, where he just eliminated an arms tracker and his entire armed retinue of maybe 20 bodyguards, Clint realized he'd stop holding himself to any standard beyond what he thought was right. He was very close to going off the rails, becoming a pure vigilante nut like Frank Castle. It was only a few steps from there to the kind of deluded villain who thought he was doing the world a favor like Vulture or Killmonger. He needed people around him to keep him on track, and the only people who could do that were the Avengers. So he'd come home, picking up the Hawkeye mantle yet again, but with a few changes, traces of Ronin that he could always carry with him. Maybe someday he'd be free of the guilt he still carried over some of the things he'd done. He'd never hurt anyone he considered innocent, but in the heat of battle, sometimes you couldn't tell who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The moral clarity of a fight against Hydra was something Clint Barton badly needed. Okay, we're 5 minutes out. Time for last minute notes. You'll find a vehicle stashed near your landing site. Its beacon will activate once it detects you on the ground. Hope you guys left the key in the ignition. There's a large hangar bay with several doors built into the flank of the mountain. That's the only obvious approach without using demolitions to get into one of the lower access shafts. Intel recommends you stay on the upper levels because honestly, we have no idea what's down below. Monsters. Got it. Probably not, but you never know. Get in, get Barnes, get out. If Barnes can't be recovered, your priority is to get the info and get out yourself. You mean if he's dead? Just say it. Her eyes flashed. Yes, if he's dead. Clint stayed where he was in the back of the cabin, alone with his thoughts, which was never the healthiest place for him to be. What if Bucky was gone again? Mind-controlled again? Deep inside, Clint felt a Ronin-like cold certainty that he would know what to do. No. Bucky would survive. Hawkeye would find him, not Ronin. Hawkeye. Tomorrow morning, they would both be watching the sunrise as Agent 13 piloted them back towards Hawaii. We're in the drop zone, Agent 13 said calmly, opening the cargo door and your go. Go, Clint said, and as the Arctic wind stole the air from his lungs, Clint steadied himself, got a bead on the ground, and jumped.